So we got the 399 spoilers, and this chapter is continuing the battle between All Might and All for One, but surprisingly, we're also seeing another battle take place in this chapter as well. But anyway, coming into this one, we saw that All Might was able to regain strength through his armored All Might system, where this suit of armor, along with multiple support items, all inspired by students of 1A, are essentially putting All Might relatively on par with All for One, and he's fighting him tooth and nail. The chapter begins with All for One destroying a building, while All Might dodges with Tentacle and Froppy, tentacles that increase his mobility and let him stick to walls. He begins to plan his next attack, which will make use of the Shoto cannon and the Tail Man Tail. So yeah, as I was saying, he has like a bunch of these support items, or just assisted moves, I guess you could say, through the tech in this armor that is inspired by the students of 1A. And, you know, I've said this before, but I really like it. How it's come full circle with him inspiring the future generation, and now the future generation inspiring him. It's a nice touch. If Rewind speeds up based on the amount of damage he takes, All Might realizes that he's going to have to use that student's quirk, but using it in the normal way wouldn't have much of an effect. So he asks the Anima robot birds to grab him something, and they fly away. So that student's quirk, we are going to find out what it is at the end of this chapter. I at first thought it was going to be something else, but it's pretty cool what it turns out to be. All for One appears and says that running away after laughing like that is quite pathetic. He understands All Might's plan and is going to kill him with minimal effort, which leads to him covering the entire alleyway therein with black tendrils. But first, let's talk about the sponsor of this video, AI video art and restyle, Livensa. Livensa is an AI application where users can transform their photos and videos into various art styles across different categories. Users can create AI video arts for all their social media accounts like TikTok and Instagram. And speaking of those, I'm sure you've seen these really cool anime edits on there. Well, you can actually make these with Livensa. They also have tons of options, such as anime, of course. You can even be like a vampire, a cyborg, or you can even go more in depth with anime, like with One Piece, or everyone's favorite Full Metal Alchemy and Sailor's Moon. But I wound up using the anime AI of this picture of me from Anime Expo, and it did an incredible job. I mean, look at this. It's really amazing. So guys, you can do this to your photos right now by downloading Livensa on your iPhone, and you can check the link in the description of the video, because that will take you to the Livensa Apple App Store page. Thanks, guys. And also, All for One does have like this black tendril quirk that we see emanating from him in the previous chapter, in case you're curious as to what this is. All Might dodges by flying upwards, but then comes face to face with two giant monstrous mouths. He calls All for One a liar because that's not minimal effort, but All for One says that that's far from his full power, and the mouths start biting everything around them as they chase after All Might. All for One starts laughing, saying that All Might's smile is gone, and now he's just an old man with no entrails that tried to copy the power of children. The tendrils break the armor's tentacles, and All for One says that the whole world will see the death of the former symbol of peace. So that's awesome. I think that might be All for One's best roast of All Might so far. An old man with no entrails that tried to copy the power of children. I mean, he's not lying, but you didn't have to put it that way. All Might tries to dodge, but All for One comes out from the inside of the wall and hits a full blow, making All Might spit blood. All for One says that the light that shone inside him is gone out, and we see the same image we saw in Camino, of All Might in a snowy place, but this time without any fire. So yeah, that's pretty sad actually, because, you know, we saw in the previous fight with All Might and All for One, All Might was in that snowy place, like towards the, you know, end of the fight, but he had that little ember that he was protecting, and that was supposed to symbolize the last bit of One for All that he had, and he essentially used the last bit of it in that United States of Smash to take out All for One. And then after that, he was just done. And this is for sure showing us that, yeah, he doesn't have anything. But All Might's not done yet. He puts the Shoto cannon inside All for One's mouth and fires, saying that he hasn't understood a thing. People are flickering. Even if one's light goes out, another person may inherit it and keep illuminating the darkness. It then cuts to Aoyama. So yeah, abrupt cut here. But we're coming back to Aoyama, who we haven't seen in a long time. He was going against that Kunita villain, And surprisingly, we're actually going to see that fight go down, or at least part of it. Kunita has defeated all of the heroes in the parking lot except for Aoyama, who's injured and has roses growing out of his body. He tries to attack with a laser, but Kunita says that he doesn't need any more light because his seeds only need human flesh to grow. So that is what Kunita's quirk is. I mean, I guess we kind of assumed that it was, because the only time we ever saw Kunita, he had like those plants or whatever around him, flowers. So I guess he has some kind of quirk that can plant seeds in people, or he can like manipulate flowers or plants or something. I'll try to make more sense of this once I'm able to see the actual chapter and can review it. Fat Gum says that the flowers grew roots in his body and absorbed nutrients, preventing him from using his quirk. He then tells Aoyama to do his best and passes out, causing a huge flower with fat appearance to bloom. Kunita says he's never seen a flower this big. So unfortunately, that seems like that might be Fat Gum's last moment. And I was thinking, like, is everybody gonna have one big last thing, you know, like Avengers Endgame style? And I was thinking, man, maybe not, because also Fat Gum did have his big major moment in the series way back in the Overhaul arc, so I guess he doesn't really need another one. But as for this flower blooming, shape of a Fat Gum, I guess this is gonna come back. Unless it doesn't, and Kunita is actually defeated in this chapter. I don't know. We'll see what happens. When a flower blooms, pollen spreads around and starts a chain reaction, creating new flowers that he then uses to attack. One of the flowers bites Aoyama's belt and hands it to Kunita, who starts a speech about how pathetic Aoyama is for being born with a broken quirk. Aoyama remembers when his parents gave him the belt and says that's exactly why he said merci to Kunita at the start of their fight. The fact that he called him a traitor made Aoyama remember his mistakes and made him even more desperate to shine like his friends. So yeah, Aoyama is a traitor. Let us not forget about that. I know he was a reluctant traitor, but still a traitor nonetheless. But he will be redeemed, obviously. Oh, and also, as for the whole born with a broken quirk thing here, Rukasu clarifies that, you know, he wasn't born with that laser quirk. He was actually given that quirk by All For One, but it's not really compatible with his body, so that's why he's all funky the way that he is. And then I guess that's in reference to broken power, not the good kind of broken. You know, when something's so powerful it needs to be fixed. He activates his quirk and the lasers go in all the directions, and since he can't control it, none of them hit Kunita, and he laughs. But then Hagakure appears behind him and reflects the lasers so that they hit straight on. "I've been waiting for you, hero," she shouts. So we got the traitor duo here. No, I'm just kidding. Hagakure, of course, going back to when a lot of us thought that she could have possibly been the traitor as well. I thought it was her, but, you know, Horikoshi hit us with that fake out, and it was actually Aoyama, which I know a lot of you knew as well beforehand. But we've got a nice team up here with Hagakure being able to reflect the laser, which she, you know, that was always like one of her abilities. And I don't know if they're defeating Kunita here. I mean, Rukasu doesn't make note of it, so I guess they're not. Because also, like I was saying earlier, that whole Fat Gum plant needs to be addressed. If it is actually like a threat, or if it was kind of just a nice little aesthetic that Horikoshi decided to make, I haven't seen the chapter, so I don't really know. But I doubt Kunita's being fully defeated here. It cuts back to All Might as he continues his speech, saying that the new generation is illuminating the darkness and giving him the chance to shine again. We see that image of All Might in the snowy place again, but now he's getting up on his feet. He starts laughing and he says that he still doesn't think he'll lose. We then see that the robot birds have brought what's left of Hercules, and it fires a laser at All For One while he's still in the air. I can't stop twinkling. End of chapter. So yeah, this is that student's quirk. It was All Might using Aoyama's laser quirk, but he has like this whole robot bird Voltron setup thing, and I can't wait to see what this laser looks like. I mean, I doubt it's really going to do much in the moment, but the amount of damage that it does to All For One is going to, you know, further cause him to rewind backwards, you know, younger and younger, because first of all, it's damaging him, as it says in the, you know, the beginning of this chapter. That speeds it up, but also him having to use quirks to heal himself, that is going to further, you know, stretch him thin. So it's very possible in the next chapter we're going to see like 5-year-old All For One fighting against All Might. But yeah, that's pretty much it for this one, guys. Let me know what you think about this chapter in the comments, and if you liked the video, please give it a like. Please subscribe if you haven't already. Have a great day, and I'll see you in the next one.